you got to seize those opportunities. But yeah, and you're right. I mean, it is better for the family too.
Yeah, I think that if you're not focused on consistent growth, then you're not in the right headspace to take that bold, decisive action when those opportunities come up.
Yeah.
You have to have something left in the tank to be like, all right, I'm going to step out one more time. I'm going to take that risk and like really go for it. Otherwise, just like, I'm too tired.
Welcome to Above the Legal Limit. I'm your host, Justin Chopin, business owner, lawyer, dad, world's best husband, traveler, and adventure seeker. On this podcast, we mix business with pleasure. We'll dive into growth strategies, entrepreneurial adventures, the business of law, and prove that business isn't boring. So let's get ready because we are going above the legal limit. Hey, welcome to another episode of Above the Legal Limit. Super jazzed today to have this guest here, Matt Armstrong with Pelican Sky. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Justin.
Thanks for coming. So, full disclosure, Matt and I have a new working relationship together in that you are flying our banner across the skies of New Orleans.
And proud to do it.
And hey, we love it.
Time.
It's been a lot of fun. I get a lot of comments.
Yes.
I only had one. We did it for Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
I only got one. We got one negative review. I got a 1 star on Google that said, "I don't want to see your banner."
You know
that was
what?
it. That's all it said. I don't.
It's like, hey, it's working. You're like,
I was like, okay,
good.
I was like, I don't know that it deems a 1 star review, maybe like a 2 star review. So, but we got Google to take that down.
Haters have jobs too. So.
Well, now I know what Taylor Swift feels like. I mean, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah,
I have haters now.
You are Taylor. Yeah.
What's really funny is, so you were out there Saturday for Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
And I recently did a video that I don't think it's fair to say like went viral because that seems like it's a bit much, but I'll call like semi-viral.
How many views? On what platform too? That matters.
70,000 views on Instagram.
That's viral.
It's viral? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Then I've got the virus.
That's great.
About 60,000, 65,000 on TikTok.
Yeah.
I would call that like sub-viral.
Yeah.
But more importantly, comments, likes, and shares. So like 800 comments on TikTok, and I don't remember, maybe 400 comments on Instagram.
Wow.
And there was like, who asked you? And I was like, well, there was someone holding a camera, and they specifically said, Justin, what's your favorite part about Jazz Fest? And so I gave them my honest answer. Like, I think it's great for the city. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And I think I'm like, obviously people agree with me on this. Most 99 out of 100 were all like, yeah, you're spot on. It's really freaking hot.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Crawfish and cream sauce in the sun is just not for me. I don't enjoy that. But you do, and many people do, and I think that's great. That's awesome. But so Saturday, you're flying over Jazz Fest. Right. I am not at Jazz Fest.
Okay.
See previous video about my position on Jazz Fest. But I was sitting in my pool.
Yeah. And
the kids are, we're officially at that part of the day where the kids have been in the pool forever, so they're having like popsicles. We're in the pool. I'm having like maybe a beer. I don't know what and I hear the drone of the plane because I live over by the lake, which is really not that far from Jazz Fest, and right over my house, right in front of us, is our banner. Yeah. And my kids like lost it.
Yes.
And
that's
they were
amazing.
like, Mom, get the video. They wanted to video it, but we couldn't. We have it, but you were already. But it's always kind of fun. So I'm just sitting there in my house, just enjoying my peaceful weekend, and then here I come.
25-foot tall you.
Yeah, just like a huge ass me, just like looking at me. Looking at you. I had a friend of mine, he's another lawyer, and they were all making fun of that picture. And they're like, the world's oldest picture. I said, what? What do you mean? And they're like, Justin, that picture doesn't look anything like you. I was like, what? That's just my picture. And they're like, when did you take that picture? And I was thinking about it for a second. I was like, I mean, it is an old picture. And they're like, you don't look anything like that. You're all gray now. And so I was like, well.
Oh my gosh.
So they're like, when did you take that picture? And I was like, oh, I don't know, like 2017. Like it was just like a few years ago. And they're like, no, that was a really long time ago.
Wow,
so
that is a while back now.
Apparently, I haven't aged that well.
Yeah.
And so everyone notices it. But I was like,
they want you to update it.
So we love the banner.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about my competitor coming out there with his own banner.
No, me neither, dude.
Not happy about that at all.
I will tell you, my dad came in. So my dad recently bought a Huey helicopter, And he and a buddy went out flying the other day from where we are based out of, and they fly over to Louisiana Regional, which is in Gonzales.
Okay.
And they retrospectively realized that they were doing touch and go landings next to that banner. And then the other guy that was in the helicopter is like, yeah, forget that guy. He's your competitor.
Don't get him.
It's like,
forget them.
So anyways, yeah, that's, I'm glad that the rates that they're paying are so high compared to what we're able to offer, only because we're the only one in the state that does it.
Well, he should be paying that because he's on TikTok driving a Ferrari, and I've got loveys in the back seat of my car with like, lollipop sticks shoved into the door handles. And so he should be paying more than I'm paying. I know I can't even afford to get the loveys out of my car.
Oh my gosh.
So how did you get started in
question.
aerial marketing?
Yeah, the honest answer is I was genuinely looking for a way to like own a plane, but not have to pay for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
That makes perfect sense.
So I was like, I got my private pilot's license 13 years ago or so. My dad's a pilot. My grandfather's a pilot. Just kind of runs in the family, right?
Okay.
And got my private pilot's license years and years ago, but kids, we already said we have kids. They're at that age, so I took a leave from aviation and was looking in the middle of last year just to start back. And as I was doing my research on some of the options for that, I came across banner towing. Okay. And then I realized as I was doing some more research that there was not a single one in the state. And
I didn't realize that.
Well, there was a gentleman in Slidell who was doing it, and I called him up. I was like, "Hey, do y'all still do this?" And he said, "No, we stopped about a year and a half ago, so about 2.5 years ago at this point." And I was like, "Well, why did you stop?" He's like, "Man, it was great for us, but." He's like, my wife was on me to cut back and retire some, and so he dropped that as one of his services. And so I kept kicking the tires on it, and just it was one of those things that I was like, I can't get this out of my mind.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a shot, and I took that risk on the assumption that I could find some local businesses that may not be able to swing like a lot of out-of-state aerial ad campaigns coming in. And I was like, I bet I could like drop rates and work with local businesses and give them exposure that's like just not available in the state right now. And so,
which is what we need. I mean,
right.
Because so much of the marketing is bought up.
Right.
Like, how many billboards do you see out there for Taka? Well, do you know it's like Taka vodka? And it's like just that the fun. Yeah. I was like, do you really need to spend $3,000 per billboard per month to remind us that you make the shittiest vodka on the market? They're like, actually, we're second to last place because K&B went out of business. So now we're the bottom shelf.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think the point that you're making is recall. Like, do you remember the billboards that you pass? And the answer is no. Like, they're a dime a dozen. But there's a study that was done years ago, I think it was in Miami, and they surveyed all these people and basically found that aerial ads have the highest recall rate out of any advertising medium out there, okay? Traditional advertising medium. And it was something to the tune of like 83% of people could remember exactly what it said 30 minutes afterwards, right?
Wow.
And then it was like 63% can remember what, something that was on it a little bit longer. And so the point is, it's like, okay, we know that this works. And whenever I was, it took a very long time. I had a lot of pushback from friends, family, or not pushback. I don't think that's fair. A lot of questions.
They're cautious.
Can that work?
Yes.
In New Orleans, they would say, I've only seen that at the beach. And I was
at the beach.
I was like, well, I know that it happens at the festivals. We have, I don't know how many dozens of festivals a year. We have major events. There's a lot, like we have 15 million coming to the quarter every year, and everyone just wants attention. And so I think that this is going to work. Now, of course, it's a massive risk, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort to get up and running. But
that's the mark,
right?
And it's the test of being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So when I didn't start my law firm being like, I want to be an entrepreneur like that, because I'm a lawyer, right? So lawyers are like, if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I don't know, I would go sell shit. I don't know, you know.
Exactly.
Something. I don't think anybody got something to sell. I don't know.
Exactly.
You know, but I'm not. I'm a lawyer, and so you know, when I thought, hey, maybe what if, like I'm telling my wife, I'm like, hear me out. You're pregnant, right? That's our first child. You know, she's going to be ready in 6 months. But like, what if I were to just, I don't know, like open my own law firm, right? And now, of course, so, you know, hugely supportive from my wife, but many people were not. You know, a lot of family members weren't. They were like, you'll never make any money. Plaintiffs, and I was a defense lawyer, you know, back then. They're like, plaintiffs lawyers are always broke, or they're always, you know, they can't, you know, it's too much risk. And we don't want you to have risk. We want you shackled with moderate comfort, right?
Right.
So, which is what being a defense lawyer is. It's like you're shackled with like just moderate comfort. People call it like the golden handcuffs. They're like, but it's like 10 karat gold.
Sure. You
know?
I get it.
But that's it. That's like the mark, you know. But when you have this idea and you're like, I'm just wired this way, and you probably are too. I don't really like to focus a lot of my energy on like, what if it doesn't work? I really like to focus my energy like, but what if it does?
Right.
Like, what if it works?
Yeah, I think that for me over the past through my whole career, there's the only similarity, the real thread that's through it is just I'm a founder. Like I realized that about myself after hitting burnout at my first like real gig, working somewhere else. I was just like, I helped start it for 3 years, and then the next 3 years it was a slow death is what it felt like. And after I got away, did some like thinking, I was like, wait a second, I'm made to take risks, to innovate, to pioneer. To
like the first 3 years.
Exactly.
What about that? You know.
Yeah, it was like, you know, I was starting and building in those first 3 years, and then it shifted into slowly like management and maintenance.
Right.
And that was the hard learning curve early on in my 20s. And so, you know, anyways, now it's like, okay, if I'm not actively being able to build and be creative, I know that I'm going to start tanking. And so, you know, with this, it's like I'm having a blast building it. We're learning a lot.
And you have your kids out there.
The kids are coming
I
out.
love it. I loved the video at Mardi Gras. And that was your kids were like cheering in the background. That, you know, I sent that to everybody.
Not all my kids. It was like 8 kids. It was like
my
kids and some
you
of their
like
friends.
Other kids.
They saw your banner. They're like, yes. So they're stoked but yeah, so anyways, I had the hunch. I was like, I think this is gonna work. Fast forward of 7 to 8 months of regulatory mess with the FAA, who there's a lot to do to get. There's a reason why I'm the only one in the state.
Yeah, right.
It is tough.
Okay.
But I was in a position to be able to like deal with that. And so I'm like, okay, how do I advertise for this? So I decided to buy our biggest billboard that we could. Okay. I flew that thing one time, and you called and someone else called, and it was like off to the races.
We were at work one day.
Just looking out one of these windows, someone just.
It wasn't even me. One of the associates, John, you know, sent it, and he was kidding. You know, he was kidding. He was like, "Oh, you should hire. You know, you should hire a banner. You should get a banner."
Yeah.
And
I love it.
You know, I was sitting there thinking. Everyone kind of laughed, and I thought, "Why wouldn't I?"
No,
and
seriously.
then my first thought was, "Well, who else is doing it?" Right, because it's like Morris Bart's out there doing it, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
And so we tried. I remember that's probably one of the first things you and I talked about. And then I was like, everyone thought they thought I was kidding. And I was like, no, we're totally going to do this.
Right.
This is going to be awesome.
Yes.
But again, the naysayers come out, and they're like,
right.
Someone asked, like a family member, like, I mean, is he able to calculate the ROI on his Mardi Gras banner? I was like, am I able to calculate the ROI on a Mardi Gras banner?
Right.
No. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
Am I able to calculate the ROI on a static billboard on I-10? No.
And
anyone who says they can's full of it. I was like, you can.
Sure.
I suppose you could get a new phone number, put a new phone, but even then, that still doesn't work because
it's not perfect attribution.
Correct.
And that's where my tech startup
they go to
came
Google
into play.
and then they're thinking like, wait, I know that name.
Yeah.
They don't even know why. They just know that they know it.
Right.
It's familiar.
Right. Well, so for me, no one knew our name. Okay, so I bought a few domains. My real domain is absolutely hideous, but it's I think it's airplane. I don't even give this to people. It's like airplane advertising Louisiana. Why?
Right, because
that's what people search. Okay, so I was able to rank over on SEO within like a month, and I'm off to the races there. But the one I put on my billboard is Pelsky.com. Everyone says Pelsky. That's fine. Yeah. Whatever. I don't care.
It's fine.
But
people say Chopin. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Whatever it takes.
Sure. It's like, tell me you're not from here without telling me.
Right. They say Chopin and they call me Jason, and I just don't have the I just don't have the heart. I don't have the heart to correct anyone. It's like, it's okay. Like these nuns. I was taught by nuns growing up in New Orleans, right? And schools have changed so much. Back then, they were all nuns, and they weren't the nicest to me. But they all called me Jason. To the point where to this day, like people will routinely call me Jason, and I don't really correct them. I'm like, yes, sister. Like I would just answer, right? I would just be like, yes.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's New Orleans.
So anyways, it's like we didn't have hardly any web traffic. Every time I put that banner in the air, we would have like 5-6 people, maybe a day, coming through the website organically, but whenever I put that banner in the air, it's typically between 150, 300 a day that come through the website. We're getting calls, we're getting emails, we're getting form submissions, all this stuff, and it's every time I put my banner in the air. So whenever so honestly, it blew me away how well it worked. And I think that because we're not at the beach, and anytime you see something literally the size of a house coming at you in the air, you're like, I wonder what that is.
Yeah. And the new banners are cool. They're not like the old beach ones used to be like
we fly those, the letter banners.
It's like I saw one this Jazz Fest. I couldn't read it though, because I don't think we were talking about this before we were filming. Yeah. So you fly right over my house.
Okay.
Right. So my family goes, we're going nuts.
Did you see when was it? That on Saturday evening, did you see the crew banner come over your house?
Yeah, I saw the crew banner.
Did you see the Huey helicopter come behind it?
I didn't. No, I didn't. Was that?
Yeah, I'll show you later. We got, we were I was in that helicopter, door open, hanging out, getting. We had a video of it. It's like pretty sick.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty wild. But anyways, yeah.
I saw the crew for sure, because I'm always looking. Like we're on the back of the bus. Mm-hmm. I've been on the bus since 2017. Yeah. Okay. It's not new.
Yeah.
But really, I can't pass a bus without being like,
sure.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll get so pissed it's not mine. I was like, where's our bus? We're on 35 buses, and I still every single time I will turn around. I just what I do. Right. So anytime I see a banner now, I'm out there. I'm looking. And I saw the crew one, and I was like, "Good for you," because that's a great account. Mm-hmm. It's it's a local business, but with a huge presence in that space, right? That's what we say in business. We call it space. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see the helicopter probably because I was more focused on that. But that's pretty fun.
It's a lot of fun. But anyways, it works. I'm able to show people the web traffic spikes. Google literally says anomaly, like we've detected an anomaly in your web traffic. We don't know what it is. It's every time I screenshotted that. And whenever I'm talking with clients, I'm like, this is what I can show you. This banner in the first flight paid for itself 10 times over. So it's like, I can't give you perfect attribution, but what I can tell you is that the ROI is there, and period. Now, with that said, it's like, this firsthand. It doesn't always go off like without a hitch. And this is like the learning curve. It's like we had to scrap. This is the painful part for me, because priority number one is all, like safe. I tell my pilot this, I'm going to tell my ground crew this: safe flights every time. Right. If we don't have safe flights every time, we don't have a business, period. But sometimes that means we have to make hard calls, which are very disappointing to me and to a number of our clients. I'm sure you included.
Oh, well, yeah, right. We couldn't do French Quarter fast because of the weather.
Weather, we had to scrap one for Mardi Gras. We had to scrap 6 flights over Thursday and Friday. We've been so stoked for Jazz Fest.
Yeah. The weather is so unpredictable.
We had this first weekend. It was seriously. So this first weekend, we had 12 flights scheduled. Okay, Thursday, Friday, we didn't get any of them done. I think yours was the only one that we picked up, and he had to turn around within like 30 minutes because that was a mechanical issue. And man, I got a mechanic on call. We spend money to get this. Like, this bird is like almost flawless. Right?
What kind of plane is it?
It's a Cessna 172, 180
Okay.
horsepower. A number of like other characteristics that like help it perform better. But like, we're looking for. I've had a couple other planes under contract within the past month that are even better for banner towing. Anyways, it's like Thursday, it was all weather. It's completely unforecasted mess. Friday, mechanical issue, weather. And then Saturday was like, Friday and Saturday were polar opposites. Friday, just rough. It was like texting people. It was like, hey, we're about to do this. And then it's like, oh, we just had to scrap this.
No, we're not.
I hate that. And then Saturday was like super awesome. And then I think it was Sunday. My pilot's in the air with that letter banner. It's you can read it whenever it's like really close, but it's those are 5-foot letters.
I was looking at the opposite. So
yeah.
You're east of me, so I'm seeing the inverse of it, and so I'm trying. I'm like in the pool, and I tried. It really occupied a lot of my day. Was like, I just want to know what it says.
that was a really cool one because it was this realtor who had this idea. I guess he was looking for us on Google or looking for someone who would do it on Google. And what he did is he was listing a house, and he made a website for it and basically said, Love Jazz Fest, and then just the website that pushes people to the listing. And it's this like epic Jazz Fest hosting house type of thing right next to the fairgrounds.
Cool.
So that was cool. He got a spike in web traffic, got some form submissions, but anyways, even my pilot was in the air with that banner, and ATC comes on and is like, microburst reported 5 miles to the northeast of the field, and he's like, I'm 5 miles northeast of the field. Next thing you know, he's getting smoked by these winds, and lightning is all around him. And it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so he gets out, and basically I feel really confident that that kind of stuff is not in our control, and I hate that. I would love to be able to control the weather. However,
it's New Orleans.
I feel really confident in my ability to like treat people right, get things done. And so, I said, look, I chopped that guy's rate, said I'm giving you a refund disproportionately to what you paid, and or you could apply it to next flight at an even more discounted rate. So, anyways, we're
it's not even just New Orleans; it's New Orleans in the spring, right? We know. Right. I mean, this is a hard time of year. This
and the fall,
right? And the fall, and the winter,
and hurricane season.
Hurricane season. But I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not. Well, it's New Orleans. We just storms are popping up all the time. Whether they're coming from the north, like in the springtime, or they're coming from the Gulf, in the summertime, or whatever, Hence why I say like Jazz Fest is just not for me, because I was watching on Sunday. I could see the rain clouds. I could, I was like, I'm just sitting. I have like the perfect view of everything going on.
Right.
Like I could see the rain clouds coming in from the west. I could see the planes kind of out there. I'm thinking like, all right, I wonder how long this is going to last.
Yeah.
And my kids are swimming in the pool, and it starts to like drizzle. So I was like, okay. I was like, yep, I told you. And this always happens at Jazz Fest, right? There's always like a rainy day, and everyone's wallowing in the mud, right?
I've been there for that one.
Right. For the mud day. Everyone's just like get like pigs in the mud.
So true.
Sorry, I'm just offended these people all over
again.
It's so true. But then it didn't. Then it just kind of stopped. So I was like, okay, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
So what's next? Is it, because if you're a founder, so that's what happens when you get to maintenance. I can't do maintenance.
Right.
I'm either, it's like my weight. I'm like gaining or losing, right? There's no maintenance for me. Right. So for my business, maintenance is stagnant and boring, and I lose. I don't know. I lose steam. So
yes, for sure. I'm same way.
Everyone's like, well, when would you stop? And like, when is it big enough? When's it enough? And I'm like, it's never enough, because it's not about the number or the size. It's about new issues, new complications. Like we're doing construction, so you could hear them drilling through the sheetrock, right now.
For the past 2 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But we just did a build out 18 months ago. I signed, we went to the building owner, I guess a year ago. No, 2 years ago. We took months. We negotiate this whole thing. We finally figure it all out.
Okay.
We build out the space. We move in September, October of 2023. And we are now filming this. I don't know when you'll hear it, but we are almost May 2025. Not quite. And we're doubling the last build out we did.
Cool.
And the first time we're like, well, we have term. That's what we have going for us. Hurts. So, negotiate with us. And they're like, all right. And I was like, I can give you term because I don't want to go anywhere. This last time I was like, well, maybe, and then you always dangle this thread of well, maybe I could just move.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
So this last time I go back to building and I was like, well, we could move. And the building's like, dude, we got you locked in. You're not going anywhere. I was like, all right, fine. Just give me more space. All right. Shit. I can't negotiate. You'd think as a lawyer, you're better at this, but there are outer limits to your negotiating power.
Sure.
You're look, I'll just give you the money and you give us the space and we won't make any idle threats about moving. So, but that's just how I am. There's no need to enter into a maintenance period. Everything's great. So let's shake it up a bit. Let's increase the marketing. Yeah. Let's try to get some more cases. Let's get another lawyer, or maybe we can do this better, or we need more space. I mean, it'll, or maybe we need a satellite office. So what's next for you?
Yeah. So right now I'm still running, fleet, dude. I'm still running ground crew. So I'm the one out there who's triple, quadruple checking all the rigging, setting all this up. And what I really like about that process is I want to go through the frustrating steps of getting it 80-90% there, and then I'll give it to someone who's promising, who can take it. Yeah. And I in that role, it's probably going to be like a college student who's off for the summer or a high school student or something like that. It's not a really complicated job, but it's something that has to be done right. And so I just started to do process captures where I'm videoing how to do this, the thought process behind it. So ground crew is going to be the first thing to go, get off my plate, and then that will allow me to start systematizing operations, and then finally sales. But the founder stuff is what I want to hold on to. So like I said, I've had a couple of planes under contract in the past month. It's now that we have business, we only have one plane. All right, let's get the second plane so we can have a backup.
Right.
I want a better plane than what we have now. So what does that need to be?
Gulfstream.
Yeah. It's dude, we toast some banners with that.
Get some
yeah.
You got to look quick. You got to look quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so right now for me, I want to systematize everything that I know how to and minimize what I'm doing in the day-to-day. And then also make sure that we have the right planes, get more pilots. I have a lot of pilots who want to fly for me, which is a great problem to have, and just get a couple more pilots trained, get a couple more planes on hand, and then that'll allow me to go out and win more business. But because I've started to tell people we had I think 3 or 4 other large contracts that people want to fly, specifically even for this upcoming weekend, and I'm not.
Well, there's
only
so many hours in a day.
Well, there's only so many hours in a day. We're not we have flexibility and capacity this weekend, but after what happened last weekend, I want to make sure that we have extra buffer to be able to get yours in the air again, and make sure that we're able to fulfill all these other contracts. So it's of course I want to land these deals, but I'm going to get on the other side of Jazz Fest. We'll get another plane under contract. We'll land some more of these people. I'll train some more pilots. And just for me, I think coming out of startup life where it's we weren't break even, and we were we raised a couple of rounds of funding to keep building. It was always a race of faster. You're not doing enough. And so for me, the name of the game here, since we are past break even, is consistent progress.
Yes.
Just make consistent progress. I'm in it for the long haul. I don't want to sacrifice my family on the altar of scaling a business. I'm not interested in that, And so I do want to grow, and we will grow, and we will get better. But it's going to be from consistent progress, not this you read about me like burning out or something like that in a year or two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, we talk about that here too. I mean, I love that you're doing the rigging, because I tell people this all the time. There's not a job here at this firm that I have not done. Exactly. I mean, I've been the lawyer. Exactly. I've been the associate. I've been the partner.
Right.
You know, I've done the paralegal work. I've been the receptionist. I've done intake. I've been the director. I've been the bookkeeper.
I love that.
I built all of our IT out.
I love that.
And what's great is, so I've worn every hat there is to wear. And then when we've needed to offload, to free my time up, I know exactly what it is. Yes. So I know what I'm asking you to do. I know where its shortcomings are, right? So I've got like 90% framed out.
That's right.
Right. So like IT, like I did all the IT, and then I hired a company to really do it the right way.
Right.
You know, but when there's an IT issue and I'm not clueless, like I hate being clueless.
Yeah.
You know,
same.
And, I want to know what it is, because I'm always like, hey, what if they're not there? Right. What if that person that doesn't show up? And things still have to get done. That's so right. I'll still be here, and so, or, if the bookkeeper, like I always, kind of bitch at some of the lawyers who are like, well, I don't really know how to do X, Y, Z, because it's like kind of like beneath them. And I'm like, well, no, you need to.
Right.
Because things happen. Like she may not be here, or, I don't know, people quit, people move on. Hurricanes happen. Like you never know when you're going to be in COVID behind a locked door running a law firm by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so you have to know all the component parts. You don't have to do all the component parts, right? But the best way to right. But the best way for me is to be like, yeah, I've already done it. I know exactly what I have to do.
That's right.
And now I just offload, all of those jobs, and I don't even know what I do now, right? We just hired a new director, so I'm like offloading all these things back onto her.
That feels good.
Yeah, it does, because she's like, wait, why are you running payroll? And I was like, there's no one else to run payroll.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to run payroll.
Yeah.
But here, let me show you how to do it. So I hate running payroll.
Sure.
Drives me, I'm bad at it. I always screw it up.
Everyone check your paycheck.
Right, they should. They should. I had a paralegal come talk to me one day, like right after the new year, and she was like, hey, I think something's wrong with my payroll. And I was like, well,
probably is.
Right, like,
I did it.
That tracks. I was like, well, what seems to be the problem? Poor thing. When I went to go give her a raise at the end of the year, I left a 0 off. And so it was just like a stupid mistake, and I didn't pick up on the fact that she made like a nickel for 2 weeks worth of work.
Oh,
and so
gosh,
I had to like call tech support, and I had void it all out. So I'm part of this marketing group, and it's always half marketing, but half about like business ownership and how to be a business owner. Because I'm not a business owner, I'm a lawyer. And so I don't have a marketing degree or a business degree.
Yeah.
I have like a stupid degree in psychology and a law degree.
Yeah.
And so one of the things they do though is they're like, what do you like doing?
Yes.
And that you're really good at.
Yes.
And they're like, what do you like doing, but maybe you're not so good at? Right. And then what do you dislike doing, but you are really good at it? And then what do you really hate doing, and what are you not good at?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, circle that.
Yeah.
There's always somebody out there who loves that.
Yes.
You hate it, but they love it. So I was like, well, I really hate being a bookkeeper.
Yeah, I love my CPA.
I suck at book. My CPA laughs at me.
Yeah.
He used to. Yeah. Now that I have a bookkeeper, I don't get laughed at. He would routinely be like, Justin, that's not how that works. I was like, I don't know.
Right. Okay.
What is that like? Right? I was like, I have no idea. He was like, you really need a bookkeeper. So I have a bookkeeper now, right? And I realized in hiring a bookkeeper that I was like spending 30 hours a week in bookkeeping.
Oh my gosh.
Because we had all these. We just hired a bookkeeper like a couple of years ago. So I was cutting checks all day long. Hundreds and hundreds of checks a month. And I mean, somebody was like, Justin, you're like the most overqualified, bad bookkeeper we've ever had. Like, this is stupid. What are you doing? So, that was like the first to go. And then like payroll. Like I'm no good at payroll. I pay people the wrong things, or I don't know, or what would happen all the time is we have it set up every 2 weeks, because my first paralegal ever was coming from a place where it was every 2 weeks.
Okay.
I hate it. I hate that it's every 2 weeks. Those 2 extra times a year just really burn me out.
Yeah.
But to go from every 2 weeks to the 1st and 15th, I don't even know what I would. I can't even wrap my head around the process that would have to take place to fix it. So we're stuck with every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so it needs to be on Monday, right? Because I needed to get it to clear for Friday. What happens if you're like you're busy Monday and they're like, all right, well, you really need to do it on Tuesday, and then Tuesday comes and you just fuck up. You're just not paying attention and you're doing something else. And then it's Wednesday morning and you realized you dirtbag.
No one's getting paid.
You didn't run payroll, and I'm having to like manually cut checks.
Yeah. No one has Taka money for that.
Right. It's like everyone's just like, you're the worst at this. So, which is good. Like that's the kind of feedback I needed. Like, Justin, you're really no good at this. I'm like, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sounds like you have a good team around you who wants you to do well, and I think that's like the really powerful thing about. It sounds like we're kind of in agreement on this. Is like I've heard it called the millimeter principle. It's like, you're the leader, right? But you only exercise like a millimeter's worth of like distance above. It's like we're on the same playing field. Nothing is below me. I'm with you.
Yeah.
You know? I think that makes people trust you more. And I think that it helps set the culture right and makes sure that people like.
Well, here's the problem. If you really dislike doing it and you act like it's beneath you and you won't even learn how to do it, and then that's the air that you give to the people who work with you, they're just going to leave. And then guess what? You're stuck doing it again.
Right.
Like, hate bookkeeping? Well, here's a way not to be a bookkeeper. If you really don't like being a bookkeeper, don't be an ass to your bookkeeper.
Right.
You know, but like, understand, like, it's really challenging. And thank you so
true.
much for doing this for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're essentially, I mean, you're doing like the one thing that I shouldn't be doing. And it's not that I can't do it. I can do it. I'm just not good at it, you know, and it takes up too much of my time. So I think we have an awesome team. Like I love the team that we work with here.
So great.
Everybody's always trying to pitch in, you know, even when they don't have to, even when they could leave at, 4:55 and I would probably not say anything. I would just sit there and mutter in my office, just stick in my craw, but I wouldn't say anything because they have that right, but they don't. They're like, hey, I just wanted you to know I need a few hours of overtime because I really want to get this done. And they come to me all the time with that. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Sure. Like I'm going to say no. I mean, sometimes I would. Right. I was like, well, what is it that you need to get done? And it's something stupid. I was like, well, no, go home. I'm not going to work the weekend so you could do something stupid. Right. If you're going to work the weekend, make it count. Right. Or we had somebody the other day, it's like, hey, I just want to touch base with you. I'd like to work more hours. I'm like, okay. And they're like, if that's okay with you. And I was like, listen, you can do whatever you want. You can work 80 hours a week if you want in this job, in this role. Like I need, yes. By the way, the answer is yes to that question, right? Or I had a lawyer once be like, would you mind if I took this case? And I thought that the case was trash, but I was like, I mean, I probably wouldn't, but you'll find that when it comes to your time, I'm very free. Yeah. I was like, if you want to work 100 hours a week for like $1 an hour all day long, bud. I wouldn't if I were you. I wouldn't do that. Right. I've worked 100 hours a week for $1 an hour once. It was not a lot of fun. I wouldn't recommend you do that. But I love the team that we work with because you're right. Everyone's always trying to be like, well, how can I help you out? What can we do that's better? Good. Or hey, I don't know if you know this, Justin, but that idea you had, it sucks, and let me tell you why. And
that's like amazing.
Great. Right? But I don't know.
It's amazing that people will tell you that, and that's
if incredible. You don't tell me it sucks, I'm not going to know it sucks. I mean, I know the job, but I'm not in there doing it. So like one day I was like, we're going to organize it like this, and I had like two my top players came in. They're like, we would like to talk to you for a minute. And they like closed the door, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And I thought it was like, they unionized or something, and they're like, I was like, oh man, I'm in a pickle today. And instead they're just like, we don't think this is a good idea. I was like, oh. And I was like, why not? And they told me, and I was like, that makes sense. That sounds like a terrible idea. Whose idea was that? And they're like, that was yours. I was like, well, we should stop that immediately. I'll just send an email right now telling everyone to just disregard the last thing. Like, just don't do that. Whatever we said before. So it's a lot of fun. But I agree with you about, scaling versus growth. I often say that sustainable growth is we grow because we want to grow. We're not scaling per se. Or we're not, not be scaling, but we're not artificially growing.
Right.
And that's the difference. A lot of these businesses will artificially grow. And then they get themselves into trouble. and they're running ragged. I think our growth is like a necessary growth and a sustainable growth. But 100% like I look at every employee here and I think I need to be 100% committed. I can make your payroll no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Like you are a necessary function in this firm. So I opened an office for a Texas firm once, and this guy was a maniac, and he would come in town and he'd be like, Justin, we're gonna get cases. I'm like, cool. He's like, so you gotta go hire people. And I was like, all right. And I was like, well, how many people do you want to hire? He's like, hire 6. I was like, well, don't do that. I was like, why don't we hire 2? Okay. I think we have enough for 2.
Okay.
And once we get them sort of onboarded and we see, what we can
prove
do,
the market,
then we can always hire another 2. He was like, no, hire 6. I'm like, okay. I'm just going to go hire 6 people at once. That'll be fun, by the way. And so
you're not footing the
bill,
bill,
I'm not paying for it, but I'm the one having to like sit here and train 6 people at once. So we'd hire 6 people.
Wow.
And then he'd come in, no shit, 6 weeks later and be like, too much payroll, not enough cases. I'm like, I know. And then you're like,
fire 4 of them.
Exactly.
Gosh.
You have to fire 4 people.
Those are people, man.
I don't do that. So we do the opposite. That was like my first look as to like what would it be like if I wasn't a defense lawyer. And that was and I'm very lucky to have had to put up with that shit.
Yes.
So that here it was like I didn't know at the time I was being taught a lesson for later in life.
Yes.
So when it's your turn,
Yep.
you don't do that. So when I hire, I like to be a little bit under. So like I'll tell everybody like if you're starting to wig out, it's like too much work, just take a breath, go home, don't answer the phone's ringing,
That's
don't
great.
it'll be here tomorrow, but I'd rather be a little bit under than be artificially over and then have to sit there and be like, okay, well, is your salary worth it? Like, do we need this person here? Like, it would kill me to have to fire someone for that. I mean, we've never had to do it. I shouldn't say never, but like, maybe if you're like, you're no good or you come to work on drugs, things happen. I've seen it.
That's a problem.
Seen it all.
Yeah.
Right. But
I
was like,
no.
So that's a no. But it's always your fault, not my fault. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if it were my fault. If that makes sense. So, but that's because it's like a steady sort of organic growth.
Yes.
In a healthy way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like. I love your take on the past boss and that allowing that to be solidified in you as a lesson rather than like harboring that resentment. It's like I've had those similar situations where it's like, okay, I can be really mad at this person for this experience, or I can say, okay, interesting, that's a difference of values, and that helps me understand how I want to run any business that I start moving forward. And so, that's exciting that, you're getting pulled to growth rather than like, let's grow. And like, what do we got to do to grow,
I mean, sometimes opportunities come along too, and you have to seize on them, right? With Jacques Degree is one of the lawyers here. That was like an opportunity. Okay. He always like smiles at me when I say it, and it's like, kind of like that smile that's like, you son of a bitch, but because I was like, well, we didn't really need you. And he's like, that's kind of hurtful. And I was like, well, I think you misunderstand. We didn't. We were appropriately staffed.
Yeah.
But this great opportunity comes along, and you're like, well, no, we don't necessarily need you, but I want you.
Right.
So let's go figure out a way. Like, or like a plane comes across tomorrow. It's the perfect one. You're like, well, it wasn't really what we needed, but I want it. And so let's figure it out. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to create a need for you. I'm going to get out, and we just invest. We're just more marketing. And he's doing great, and I knew he would.
That's
awesome. So it's like, you got to seize those opportunities, but and you're right. I mean, it is better for the family too, right? So I'm not here 12 hours a day anymore, anymore.
And there's a period for that, maybe, but it's
there's always a time.
But I think that if you're not focused on consistent growth, then you're not in the right headspace to take that bold, decisive action when those opportunities come up.
Yeah.
You have to have something left in the tank to be like, all right, I'm going to step out one more time. I'm going to take that risk and like really go for it. Otherwise, just like, I'm too tired. Or like, I don't know that I have anything else that I can do, And I've been in both places, and I'd much rather build like this than the other. So
It's fun. That's a lot of fun. Well,
I
love what you're doing. I love
Thanks,
Pelsky. Pelsky. If you're a business owner
Yep.
and you're looking for a unique marketing tool, the feedback we've gotten on our banner has been huge. I think probably
Amazing.
the best piece of feedback I got was from my daughter's friend in school. She's 9 years old.
Amazing.
And it was at Mardi Gras time. She goes to her mom and she looks up, she goes, "Oh, that's Mr. Justin. Mr. Justin, he's really going for it." I was like, yes. The best piece of feedback I got. I was like, a 9-year-old's like, he's going for it. And I was like, we are going for it. We're going for it. Like, it's bold. It's something different.
Yeah.
It's fun and it's exciting, and we're excited to be in a partnership with you for it.
Man.
And I love your other clients. I'm like, Crew sunglasses, hell yeah. I was like, Crew
Louis. They're like that. Like, have you that THC seltzer?
I saw that. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. So they're a local THC seltzer
Awesome.
company. They're awesome. One of the ones that I've seen multiple people post all over social media. They're just confused when they see it, but it is leaving a massive impression. There's a fella who runs a funeral and cremation service.
Yes.
Dude.
I saw it.
So many people talking
I
about
saw
this,
that, and because it was like what you would expect.
No. I feel confident in saying that there has never been another funeral and cremation service do aerial advertising.
Has to be.
And he was seeing like business within, I think his first second.
People were dying to get in there.
Hot deals.
Tell them to call me. We'll work something out. So actually, my kid's sports, when he was doing like F&A, sports is like the little football league.
Okay.
And I know it was before that. I don't know. It doesn't matter. All of the team's jerseys for all of the kids, no matter what team they were on, were from the pet cemetery.
Wow.
All of them. And my kid, because, he's like my kid, he's like always wearing his shirt backwards. Yeah. And so it's like he's just advertising all day long. I forget, what is it? Heaven's Pets? That must be it. And so all the kids are wearing Pet Cemetery shirts. I just think it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
That I was like, well, I mean, kids have pets, pets die. I was like, you're marketing to the next generation,
right?
And that's brilliant. So my kids were watching YouTube until we had to shut it down, and I didn't like where it was going. But before we could get in there to shut it down, my kids are obsessed with Take 5, the oil change place.
Okay.
And every time we drive by one, they're just going nuts. They're like, it's a Take 5.
Why?
Then there's like a blue Take 5. My kid lost his shit, and he's like, it's blue. And I was like, guys, what's with YouTube the Take 5? YouTube ads. I was like, so YouTube has been advertising oil change places to you guys. I was like, that's just evil genius.
Dude.
Take 5's just like,
it's gonna work.
They're going to get older. They're going to get cars, and their cars are going to have oil, and they're going to have to change them.
Wow.
The kids are where it's at. I'm going to start advertising to kids. They're like,
crazy.
In 10 years, you're going to get hurt. Call me.
For sure.
That's the long play. I love it. So,
yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on this show.
Thank you so much for
tell everybody
me.
Where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can reach out to us at pelicanskybanners.com. That's the website. You can email me personally, Matthew@pelsky.com, PELSKY.com, and we'll get you in the air.
Cool. Love it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, man.
All right. Thank you for joining me today on Above the Legal Limit. If you enjoyed the show and you want to hear more about business and law, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't like the show, keep it to yourself. Remember, there's no limit to what we can achieve. We will see you next week. Until then, even though we're above the legal limit, let's drive safely. Cheers, everyone.